thought I'd make this video before the government makes any official announcement about reforms to PIP to help people to navigate what might come up next. I am sure that you are all aware that the government intends to announce major changes to PIP in the spring of 2025. The video will explain 1. When the announcements are likely to be released. 2. What sort of changes might PIP claimants see? In other words, what's likely to be included in the proposals? 3. How long before any changes are implemented? When will the new rules come into force? The government hasn't given us an exact date on which the reforms to the benefit system will be announced. However, they have indicated that the information will be released before the spring statement in Parliament, which is on the 26th of March 2025. But don't count on this date. If it doesn't make political sense, it might not happen. The announcement is expected to come in the form of a government green paper. A green paper is a government consultation document that seeks the views of interested parties before proceeding on new policy. The document will be readily available on the internet, and I'm sure it'll feature extensively on the news and other media outlets. Now let's look at the sort of proposals that the government might put forward. We don't yet know the exact nature of the new proposals, and the government have been quite elusive. But let's look at what different groups claim might be included. It seems that the potential reforms may fall into the following categories. 1. Eligibility. 2. Assessments. 3. Extra support. 4. Payment methods. Let's look at each one in turn. Eligibility concerns the characteristics of the particular groups that might be entitled to claim the benefit. One suggestion in this category concerns turning PIP into a means-tested benefit. That would mean that higher income groups are excluded from claiming PIP, and that could have serious consequences for some claimants. However, the government has not indicated that it intends to introduce means testing at this stage. It seems unlikely that it will feature in the green paper. Let's move on and look at potential changes to the assessment criteria. Changes in this area may concern redesigning the way PIP assessments are conducted, or by changing the descriptors and the way that points are awarded. I'm going to explore two potential proposals, the first of which might be quite popular with some claimants. It has been suggested that face-to-face and telephone assessments are brought to an end completely, and that the DWP focus on paper-based assessments in which only the medical evidence is considered. That could be a much simpler system for claimants. But I think the government is unlikely to introduce it because the number of successful claims would increase. The thing is that the majority of the 48% of claimants that lose their claim would have been entitled if the assessment had been based on medical evidence alone. When it comes to assessments, a second likely proposal concerns the way that points are awarded under the descriptors at a face-to-face or a telephone assessment. The problem here can be that any major alteration to the way that a benefit is assessed tends to result in a number of claimants getting kicked off simply because they don't understand the new criteria. That's why, for example, hundreds of thousands of claimants failed to make the transition from DLA to PIP. Therefore, changes to the assessment criteria may be popular with the government because successful claims tend to be reduced. Make sure you stay up to date with the latest developments. We've looked at eligibility and assessments. The third broad category of proposals concerns support. The extra support that the government think that PIP claimants need is support to enter into the workplace. I don't believe that anybody with a disability should be coerced into the workplace. And they most certainly should not be punished if they decline to seek employment. That said, some claimants may prefer to take up employment. A job can be fulfilling. But for PIP recipients, entering the workforce can have far-reaching consequences. It can potentially look like this. I told assessor, I says, I just do 8 hours a week, but national minimum wage. She says, well, you are entitled to work. All I want to know is, if you're as disabled as you say you are, how can you manage it, Mr. Brown? I'm scared witless that I might lose my benefit. I've nowt to live on if that happens. In my experience, working PIP claimants live in terror that their benefits may be stopped. So I can't imagine that work-seeking PIP claimants would feel comfortable disclosing details about their lives to some sort of a job centre work coach. Therefore, I think that if the government really want to help disabled people back into the workplace, they'd be well advised to butt out, not butt in. The next category of potential proposals for change concern payment methods. The government has not, as yet, entirely dismissed the notion of payments by voucher. Apparently, disabled people will be able to spend their vouchers on a range of products and services. Yep, that's right. I don't know what to say. Well, I'll say it. I've never heard such a load of codswallop in all me born days. Am I missing something? I thought we already had a voucher scheme, and I thought it looked like this. Set me straight if I'm wrong, Kia. Let's get back to intelligent life and move swiftly on to the final topic I promised to explore with you. When the proposals in the Green Paper are published, it merely marks the start of a very long political and legal journey. And none of the proposals that appear in the documents will be by any means a done deal. The proposals are likely to be controversial, so lots of changes and amendments are likely to be made as the proposals progress through both Houses of Parliament. Whilst there are no set timescales for creating an Act of Parliament, the complexity of the legislation concerning welfare rights typically means that it takes a long time. For example, the introduction of PIP back in 2013 took the government 3 years. And that wasn't the end of the road. It merely started the long, slow process of migrating claimants over from the old benefits. 12 years later, that process is still ongoing. We are coming to the end of this video. Let's summarise the major points. To summarise what we have said then, the documents containing details of the proposed changes are expected to be published on or before the 26th of March. The proposals are likely to be far-reaching, but none of them are set in stone. The controversies surrounding this particular policy change are likely to mean that the process takes a long time.